Hello, thank you for joining me. You're watching Esther from Stampin' Star Creations, an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator in the UK. I go ahead and I'm using Whisper White in the thick and just trimming off a tiny bit off, and that measures up at 8 1/4. I'm going to cut that in half again, so then you've got 2 A5 pieces. You're going to score both of these pieces down the middle at 4 1/8, just using the scoreboard here. And then on the second piece it's an additional score at 4 5/8, and at the first edge at 1/2 inch. So with the single score line, I'm just trimming away 1/2 inch off the edge of that. This all becomes clear later on. Fold and burnish all your score lines and get your creases in there. And this starts to take shape to make your actual card. So you want the card to make sure you got it in the right way, so that insert opens from the centre out to your right, if that makes sense. Then once it's folded, it all squashes together and stuck down, it will open and give you that 3D tunnel effect. We're using the circle dies, we're using the 3 largest ones, but first we're going to use that middle one to cut away the image, the circle from the middle, and then the largest and the third circle down to make the red die in between. Taking your eclectic layer thin-lit die and using the leaf, go ahead and I've cut out 5 leaves. I'm using Mossy Meadow because it's just what I had on hand. You want to be able to just mark with a pencil where your circle is to give you an idea of where to lay down the image. So just measure up your crease to the back piece and it'll give you the centre. Using black Momento ink, go ahead and stamp the fairy image. And then go ahead and stamp your sentiment inside. And I made a boo-boo. I decided I'm going to leave this as it is, and then we'll just maybe try and fix it with some sparkles, but also fix it later by covering it up with some leaves. This is how the first idea came about on my first card. It was covering up a boo-boo. Then on the other piece of paper you want to stamp the same image onto the front and another sentiment. Add some sparkle, and this is all that you need on the front. I've gone ahead and stamped some extra images because we're going to be using those for the rest of the card, so the cherries and some leaves. I'm using the lighter Old Olive on the leaves and the leaves on her skirt. I'm going up on with the darker Old Olive to give some extra detail. And the same with the leaves. This is the great thing about the blend pens. You can just add a nice effect. I'm using the dark olive again to do the branch, giving the cherries colour roughly because we're going to be cutting and sticking some more on top of those. Using the colour lifter just to add a bit of highlights into a few areas on the cherries. Then I decided to go in with the leaves and a bit on her skirt as well. I've chosen Bermuda Bay and I've given her an ombre look top and done the same colour for her wings. Using Daffodil Delight, give her some highlights, and using the darker colour to just add a nice effect to her hair. I didn't have any skin tone colours at all, so I'm just going in with a pale pink sponge and just trying to sponge on a bit of colour, just so that she's not a stark white colour. Going in with a pool party sponge, this really helps to make a difference to the background and again just draws the colours together. Going in with the light smoky slate, I'm adding shadow to the left hand side of all the images, and this just really helps to give that 3D effect and really helps the image to pop. Using the yellow again, just highlighting some of those sparkles at the front, so all the inside is colour. I'm taking more time now to do those cherries, going in with the darker cherry cobbler, and then I'm going to use the colour lifter so I can highlight the shiny areas of the cherry. Went ahead and coloured all the leaves because we'll be using this later on the card. I wanted to show you this tip with the Stampin' White marker and going around with the black just to cover up where I've cut out the white and made the cherries ever so slightly larger so that I know it would cover my surface when I came to stick those down. There's all the little leaves that have been cut out. So just for the front I've used the pale smoky slate again and just added the shadow like the inside. We're covering up where the blends show through with a bit of cherry cobbler, and then you don't have to see the back of that. Go ahead and just take your time sticking in that circle in the back of the card, just using a bit of Tombow to lay that down, and you can just position that in place until you're happy with it. Grab your leaves and then you want to have them sort of half in, half out, so you've got some gluing surface but also enough leaves to be peeking through on the other side. Just be careful when you're gluing, you don't want to get glue on the other side so that your card sticks together, you still want to be able to fold it out. And then just adding a few more leaves in the background, it just really gives that nice 3D effect. Adding on those mini dimensionals, and then the cherries are going to be popped on there. Again, this just really adds to all the dimension of the picture. In here I've got a mixture of surgical spirit or alcohol with some washed out Winker Stella, and I'm giving that a good old spritz. And I'm hoping the camera is going to pick up a little bit of that sparkle just inside that picture. Add that extra bit of magic. Laying down the leaves, trying to make sure that all my mistakes are covered. I've gone in and stuck down the cherry cobbler, and now I'm going to stick down the back piece first. And then as you can see it's taking shape, and then sticking in that flap afterwards. Just flatten down your work, and that's an easier way of being able to stick it down. As you can see, it folds flat, so it's great if you want to put it through the post. And there you have it, the fairy card, but there's more. Just to add that extra detail onto the cherries and onto the wings, we're going to add a bit of shine using fine tip glue pen. So don't do what I do and leave it flat, don't stand it up, because I had glue dripping down my last one. So thank you ever so much for watching. Do give me a thumbs up if you've enjoyed the video and leave a comment below. I hope you have a good day, and if you're in the UK and you're interested in any of these products, I will be happy to send you out a catalogue, so please